get the most terrible news of your life, but you can't stop in the moment and deal with it. For me, this was a reality. One morning, actually it was one of the busiest days of my life. I was in the middle of a busy tour. I had a radio broadcast planned that afternoon that I had spent over a year and a half preparing for. And before I left the house in the morning, I got a phone call. My aunt had passed away. And my aunt and I were very close. Well, if you've ever lost a family member, you've lost someone near to you, you know what that feeling is like. It's like all the air is being sucked out of you, and at the same time, someone's punching you in the gut as hard as they possibly can. I had no idea how I was going to make it. Not just through that day, but through that week, through that month, through that year. My aunt and I were very close, and although she was disabled, she had a lot of different health problems. Man, we were really close together. I remember sitting there in my room on my bed for just a brief moment and thinking, I gotta get out the door. I don't even have time to think about this right now. I've got people that are counting on me. It was true. There were thousands of people that were counting on me showing up that day at work and doing my job. I didn't have time for a crisis. I didn't have time physically, I didn't have time emotionally, mentally to deal with it. What do you do in those moments? Well, for me, I had to follow my dad's advice. We're actually here not far from where my dad is buried. He passed away when I was 16 years old in a freak accident. Another punch to the gut, another difficult time. Right across the road from here is where my grandma's buried and where my aunt is buried. And every once in a while, about once or twice a year, I come here and I just kind of reflect on things. What do you do when you go through something emotionally hard but you can't deal with it in that moment? Well, you have to move on. You have to take the next step that you have to take to get through the day. But more importantly, you have to set an emotional appointment. I remember hanging up the phone and thinking, you know what, I don't have the time or the space to deal with this right now in this moment. But at 10 o'clock tonight, when everything shuts down, I'm going to sit in my room. I'm going to cry. I'm going to feel the feelings. I'm going to go through what I need to go through. But right now, it's go time. And that's what I did. I went and I spoke at the school. I went and I did the radio show and the broadcast that I prepared for a long time. And I didn't really even tell anybody except for my grandma what happened. And then finally, at the end of the day, about 10:30 at night, I sat down and I dealt with it. Here's the thing. A lot of times we don't deal with emotional trauma or we don't deal with mental health like we would with physical health. I mean, imagine if you were cutting, some vegetables and you sort of chopped part of your finger off. You wouldn't wait to go to the hospital. You wouldn't wait for a day or so and say, oh, maybe I'll bleed out, maybe I won't. No, you would deal with it. But for some reason, when it comes to emotional stuff, when it comes to mental health, we tend to stuff it and say, oh, I'll get to it, oh, I'll get to it, oh, I'll get to it. Well, you got to set an emotional appointment. See, if you don't deal with it, whatever your it is, it will deal with you. It's not going to be polite. It's not going to set an appointment. It's not going to wait till you're in a good emotional space. All of a sudden, you're going to have a meltdown. You're going to lose it. Maybe at a time that's most important to you. Set an emotional appointment and make sure that you deal with it. Whatever your thing is, however you cope, go to that. Maybe you like to write. Maybe you like to read. Maybe you like to scribble. Maybe it's screaming in a pillow, punching a bag, calling someone that you love. Maybe it's talking to a counselor, putting on some music. Whatever you need to heal from, make sure you take the time to do it because you're worth it. You can only be at your best. You can only be your best for others if you're your best for you first. Take care of yourself. You're worth it.